Welcome to Turkish series stars. Today, we're diving into the unfolding enigma surrounding Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu, a tale that began with one candid snapshot and swiftly became the most whispered topic across Turkish entertainment. Settle in, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the join button to support our channel, because this is the kind of story that keeps everyone coming back for more. It all started with what looked like an ordinary holiday photo, posted by a passing traveler, Barış and Elçin seated at a seaside cafe, sharing a calm, early morning breakfast with the horizon opening wide behind them. At first glance, it could have been the easy companionship of longtime colleagues having a quiet moment away from the buzz. But as the day unfolded, fresh images emerged, and the mood shifted. This time, the pair were caught strolling side by side on a coastal path, fingers intertwined in a way that said less about staging and more about instinct. Within hours, social media erupted. The questions came in rapid waves: were they simply enjoying a friendly getaway, or was there a deeper bond? The timing didn't appear accidental. People close to the duo whispered that Barış and Elçin had intentionally slipped out of the city, carving out a brief pocket of stillness to breathe without flashing cameras and relentless commentary. What captivated viewers most was not the setting or the relaxed clothes or the salty breeze, it was the way their eyes lingered. Their glances held warmth, the kind that doesn't need explanation, and that's exactly what set the rumors ablaze. When they returned to Istanbul, the scene at the airport was exactly what you would expect. Cameras ready. Questions poised. Barış, surprised but charming as ever, kept his tone light. He called it a getaway with friends, a little reset from the grind. His delivery didn't close the door though, and it certainly didn't slow the speculation. Elçin, poised and elegant, said only a few words when a microphone found her. Sometimes the most meaningful moments aren't carefully planned. That single sentence rippled across the internet, and by evening, every fan forum and entertainment account had their own take on what it meant. The reactions were immediate and passionate. Supporters flooded timelines with encouragement, arguing that if there was something real between them, then happiness was all that mattered. Others insisted they had sensed this coming for months, pointing to chemistry that seemed impossible to hide at premieres and award shows. They had worked the same scenes, moved through the same circles, always polite and measured when asked about anything more than friendship. Yet their shared ease, those passing smiles that lingered a second too long, hinted at something unspoken that fans refused to ignore. Then, the video appeared. In it, the wind tugged at a loose strand of Elçin's hair. Barış reached out without thinking, tucking it back with a soft laugh, and she tilted her head as if the gesture surprised her in the gentlest way. It lasted only a few seconds, but it was enough. That's the clip that seemed to shift the conversation from rumor to conviction for so many viewers, who shared it on loop and drew their own conclusions from the micro-moment that felt too natural to be performance. In the days that followed, both Barış and Elçin went uncharacteristically quiet online. No new shares, no casual captions. And silence, in this world, is rarely silence at all. Fans began combing through older posts. One observant follower found that they had posted photos of the same twilight from what appeared to be the same beach weeks earlier, each framing the sky in their own way. It had slipped by at the time, but now people were reading those sunsets as clues, a breadcrumb trail left in plain sight. The story deepened when a close friend from Elçin's circle gave a carefully worded statement to a local magazine. Without naming names or confirming too much, they said she was in a peaceful, buoyant place lately, as if something unexpected had steadied her. That was enough to ignite panel discussions and long segments on nightly programs. One commentator swore they'd seen the two dining at a Bosphorus restaurant, close enough to notice small details. According to that account, there was nothing showy or secretive about their evening. They were present with each other, laughing, leaning in for quiet exchanges that made the rest of the room fade. By then, reporters started drawing lines between older interviews and the present moment. Barış once said in a conversation that when he finds calm with someone, he stays. He didn't chase perfection. He wanted peace, the kind that lasts. Revisited now, those words felt like a soft spotlight on the unfolding narrative. Elçin, for her part, had often argued that love shows up when you aren't hunting for it, that it chooses unlikely times to surface. Those two belief systems seemed to form a thread that explained the delicate stillness people noticed around them. As curiosity swelled, more exclusive images from the seaside retreat surfaced. There they were, balancing on an electric scooter, laughing like teenagers trying not to topple. A quiet coffee by the shore, where their conversation looked unhurried, unburdened by schedules. Barefoot at dusk, walking along the waterline, the world tinted gold and rose around them. One photograph in particular took on a life of its own, Barış placing a small flower in Elçin's hair as she looked down, smiling like someone who knew a secret. A caption posted with that image read something like, "Love is hidden in simple moments," and it struck a chord with thousands. Then came the post that everyone still talks about. On her Instagram, for just a few fleeting minutes, a message appeared on Elçin's story. "Some bonds aren't meant to be explained, you only know them when you feel them." It vanished almost as quickly as it appeared, but the internet never forgets. Screenshots circulated everywhere, and the phrase became shorthand for the entire situation. Later that night, Barış shared a story with the song Senden Daha Güzel by Duman, accompanied by a small wave emoji. He added nothing else. No names, no captions. He didn't need to. For fans, music said what interviews never could. At this point, it felt like everyone had a theory. People close to the pair hinted that they had decided to avoid making any big statements until they finished their current commitments. They were busy, projects, meetings, obligations, and didn't want a media storm to overshadow work they cared about. Still, something in their faces looked changed, people said. A journalist who had spoken with them before noted a new softness, a way they carried themselves that felt lighter and more aligned. The consensus grew, even if they weren't labeling anything, they were exploring something real. While the talk churned, fan communities lit up with analysis. Some adored the idea of a love story blooming from years of mutual respect and creative partnership, the kind of connection that felt both surprising and inevitable. Others worried openly about the price of fame, about how intense attention might complicate their careers or push something private into a public spectacle. Yet the fascination didn't wane. Whether you believed it was romance or close friendship evolving in its own time, Barış and Elçin became the center of conversation without saying a word. More photos trickled out, the kind that didn't feel staged. A candid shot with them trading a cookie across the cafe table. A quiet moment on a pier when they looked out at the water like they were sharing a silent promise. A blurry night photo, taken from a distance, where city lights reflected on the surface and the two stood very close, talking like no one else existed. Each image invited interpretation. Each frame turned into a story because viewers brought their own hopes to it. The intensity of interest led to deeper dives into their past interviews, their known values, and their quiet, steady way of managing attention. People remembered how both Barış and Elçin tended to guard their private lives, engaging with fans warmly but keeping a firm line where it mattered. That boundary suddenly made the unguarded glimpses feel more significant. If they were letting any of this appear, even by accident, maybe it meant more than anyone had realized. One evening, an entertainment program dedicated a long segment to mapping the timeline. They showed the seaside cafe, the hand-in-hand walk, the breeze that prompted the hair-tucking moment. They repeated the quote about calm, the thought about love arriving unannounced. They pulled up the fleeting Instagram message and the late-night song choice. The panelists talked about symbolism, about the poetry in the understated gestures. A guest who claimed to know them described the atmosphere around the two as easy, not grand or overly dramatic, but steady, like they'd found a place to breathe. Those who had followed their journeys for years said the quiet felt intentional. If there was something as precious as a new beginning here, maybe silence was the only fair way to protect it. Some argued that the beauty of the story was its restraint. No declarations. No headlines engineered for shock. Just glimpses, a flower tucked into hair, a song shared in the night, a walk at sunset with no hurry to be anywhere else. By then, neither of them had offered a formal confirmation, and that choice seemed almost like a statement on its own. The cameras could capture what they wanted, but the label belonged to Barış and Elçin alone. Friends described them as focused and grounded, as two people who had learned how to move through noise without letting it absorb them. It's not that they were hiding. It's that they were choosing how to be seen. And still, the story keeps unfolding in the smallest ways. A look exchanged during an event, soft and unspoken. Matching shades of blue in two separate posts, noticed and lovingly overanalyzed by dedicated followers. A brief sighting near the Bosphorus, where someone claimed to overhear a joke and see twin smiles that lingered a beat too long. None of it proves anything. All of it adds to the myth. The truth is that something doesn't have to be declared to be felt. Maybe that's why this story refuses to fade. The people watching aren't only drawn to the possibility of romance, they're captivated by how quietly it's being tended to. If there's a label, it can wait. If there's a future, it will arrive in its time. For now, the glances, the music choices, and the shared silences are enough to keep the world listening. As fans debate and dream, one thing is certain: whether this chapter belongs to friendship deepened or love revealed, it has become a defining moment in how we see these two. They've reminded everyone that not everything needs a headline to matter, and that sometimes the real story lives in what's left unsaid. The question remains, and it's the very thing that keeps this conversation alive: are they just friends, or is this the start of something that has been quietly growing for much longer than anyone guessed? Tell us what you think about Barış and Elçin. Do you believe this is simply a beautiful friendship finding new depth, or are we witnessing a love story writing itself in real time? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support us by hitting the join button. Turkish series stars will be here with every update, every whispered clue, and every new chapter as it unfolds.